I am never going to complain ever again about feeling old because I'm not playing football, even though I'm older than Phillip Rivers. Welcome to another edition of Inside Coverage here on Yahoo, the how and the why. Any and everything you need to know about the National Football League. My name is Andrew Siciliano, and full disclosure, I'm 51 years old. I'm not young. My body generally, and I think I stay in shape. It's not about me, but when I wake up in the morning, I know that I'm 51 years old. I'm not going to go play football, but evidently Philip Rivers is. He is back, at least on the practice squad, with the Indianapolis Colts 5 years after last playing, and I think he's going to play this week. Riley Leonard's got a knee. His status is in doubt. Riley Leonard is actually younger than Philip Rivers' oldest daughter. Make sense of that. And C-Rob and Frank Schwab. I'm not going to ask you how old you guys are. It's not important. But he's going to play.
Appreciate that, actually.
I think he's going to play in the most bonkers NFL story, gentlemen, that I could remember in a while. How are you guys?
It's retired a Charger officially, I think earlier this year, Philip Rivers. Hall of Fame, by the way, Hall of Fame semifinalist this year.
Yes.
There's a lot going on with Philip Rivers post-career. Obviously coaching at St. Michael Catholic in Fairhope, Alabama. Is that correct? He
sounds about right.
Down near Mobile, other side of the bay. Yep.
This reminds me, what was the movie with Dennis Quaid where he's
the
rookie?
Rookie.
Yeah. The rookie. Yeah, he's the pitcher, right? He's the pitcher. He's the coach. And next thing you know, the guy who never threw like a 90-mile-per-hour fastball, his arm suddenly healed. And next thing you know, he's throwing high school innings to his kids at 95 miles per hour. And next thing you know, he's a Tampa Bay Devil Ray. Is that what the Colts are? They're the 2025 answer to the Tampa Bay Devil Rays of that movie. This is crazy. What a story. Unbelievable.
Great story. One of the great stories. Like I can't even, I don't know really, I'm sure if I thought about it long enough, I could come up with a decent comp, but a guy who is literally on like the doorstep of being considered for the Hall of Fame is going to play again. What? Like, okay. Like it would have been better had he been in the Hall of Fame and come back. Like, hey, do I got to get my gold jacket back and wait another 5 years? See how this turns out.
Tom Brady is lazy. Just so we know, let's clarify. Lazy.
Tom Brady played 45.
Tom Brady.
Well, Tom, what are you even doing? Come on.
Tom, come on, Tom. What are you doing? You telling me you can't play for the Raiders right now? They could use you.
Yeah, he could, except he's an owner. There's that complication. But Brady, in his last game when they got knocked out in the wild card round for the Buccaneers, he was 45 years old. Others have started games when they're older. Warren Moon, Steve DeBerg, George Blanda didn't start, but he played at 48.
None of them were good, though. None of them were good.
Look, guys. Like Philip Rivers' ability to procreate, nothing stops him.
Hey now, he does have 10 kids. He's a grandfather.
He just wants to get out the house, man. He is just like
Philip Rivers is a grandfather.
I'll go face Seattle's pass.
I'm
sick of taking kids to school. I can't do this no more. Just can't.
So, NFL writer Jeff Howe, you guys know Jeff. And I don't have the tweet up. I didn't tell Madison to find it. I'm sorry, it just hit me. But Jeff had maybe the best tweet. He said this is the second time in a couple of years now that the Colts have turned to a high school coach to save their season. Remember, they hired Jeff Saturday, high school coach, as their interim head coach, and now they hire Philip Rivers, high school coach. Yes, running Shane Steichen's offense, and they talk all the time, to be their new quarterback. And officially the practice squad, but my gut tells me he may start in Seattle.
Yeah.
Against the playoff-bound Seahawks.
Like why? Like at this point, why sign him if you're not going to play him? Why? Like,
of course,
right? Yeah.
Like it's not like let's let him get in shape for a couple of weeks. Like no, it's either there or it's not. You got 4 weeks left in your season. Like he almost has to start on Sunday, and
I think he does.
It's not going to turn out well. It's not going to turn out well. I want it to turn out well, but it's not.
I want to play something here before we continue the conversation. Right before we came to air, I taped an interview with Colts receiver Michael Pittman Jr. Now, this is going to air in its entirety a little bit later in the week, but we took a little portion of it because obviously the topic of the day is Old Man Rivers. Michael, do you know where you were or what happened week 2 2008. You were 10.
2008. I was probably playing Pee Wee football in California. And that's probably all I remember.
Okay. Let me tell you something else about week 2, 2008. The Broncos beat the Chargers 39-38. Your old man, Michael Pittman Sr., scored the game's first touchdown. He had 7 carries that day. On the other side of the field, your new quarterback, Phillip Rivers, threw for 377 yards and 3 touchdowns. Your old man played in a game against your new quarterback, Michael Pittman Jr.
Yep. That's, we can, that is kind of crazy. But this is Phil's second time being my quarterback. So I feel like I know Phil very well, and having him back like on this team, and I mean, it's no secret that he's 44 years old, but I think that his mind is still young, and I think he's excited. I think he's a competitor. I think he brings a level of leadership like to this team. He fills in like that role. And his football knowledge is off the charts. I mean, you're not going to find a guy that's more sharp than him. And he's still been in football. It hasn't been NFL football, but he's obviously been coaching his son's football team, or his son's high school football team, and been running some of the Colts offense. So I'm not worried about him. I think that if Phil does get his chance, I'm excited for him. And we're going to play hard no matter what, no matter who's out there.
Michael Pittman's a good sport about it. He has played with Phillip Rivers before, and I'm sure he can throw the football. Charles, I just wonder, can he take a hit? And I don't mean to question his toughness. Phillip Rivers, legendary toughness. No one rocked a bolo tie and was tougher ever, football or otherwise, than Phillip Rivers. But he's 44. He hasn't taken a hit. He hasn't tried to escape. He hasn't tried to escape, a blitz. Not that Mike McDonald always brings the blitz, but you never know where the pressure's coming from. In a long, long time, part of me almost doesn't want to see it. Like, I'm here for the theater, but part of me is going to cringe the first time he gets hit.
Yeah, and, Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville, by the way, playing pretty good defense, and Houston. That's your closing month. Like, you're not just... we're not exactly talking about the Washington Commanders and Cincinnati Bengals here closing out the season for the Indianapolis Colts. You're actually playing defenses that are getting after the quarterback, playing pretty well. Look, I know what Frank says he doesn't think it's going to go well. If he play, I'm going to watch. Like, if you're the NFL, you're sitting here and everybody. How could you?
They got a Monday night game coming up.
It's insane. It's such a crazy story. I in a weird way, I know we're not allowed to root for, not even that we're not allowed to root for, but it fades away for us, right? We do this long enough for the most part, when it comes to teams or whatever. But individuals, we still kind of pull for individuals in the jobs that we do. I can't help but look at this situation and go, it's a fun story this late in the season for this to happen, something we never could have considered. But by the way, what about all the other free agent quarterbacks that are sitting out there right now? Aren't you sitting there going, look, I couldn't,
who did I pick?
Somewhere Colin Kaepernick is like, remember that time when I couldn't get a job anywhere in the NFL and I played
story.
In the Super Bowl. It's a whole different story, of course. But come on, let's be honest. I mean,
here's the list.
Of all the things you would have picked, it's crazy.
I pulled up some of the names, and Charles make a great point. So, Frank, would you rather have Phillip Rivers or Nate Sudfeld? Phillip Rivers or Taylor Heineke? Phillip Rivers or Clayton Tune? Phillip Rivers or Dorian Thompson-Robinson? By the way, all these guys have made plays in the league. It's not as if they're total nobodies here. Phillip Rivers or Tim Boyle? Phillip Rivers or Bryce Perkins, who is just the MVP of a spring league? That guy can play. Phillip Rivers or Logan Woodside? Phillip Rivers or former third-round pick of recent vintage Desmond Ridder? So, I mean, that's what you're looking at.
Boy, Desmond Ridder had. Remember when Arthur
Ritter's
Blank was like, "We don't need Lamar Jackson. We got Desmond Ridder. We're fine." Why would we sign Lamar Jackson? There's no collusion going on. Anyway, the one thing about Phillip Rivers, I do have to say, Phillip Rivers, to me, the trademark of his entire career, other than maybe Ben Roethlisberger or somebody I'm not remembering, other than those guys, he was the one who would stand in and take a hit more than anybody else I can remember.
Yeah.
He would sit there, look down the rush, and just be like, I'm going to get smashed on this play, but I'm going to deliver the ball. And he did, as well as anybody. Again, Ben was in there. Like a couple other guys who took a lot of punishment. Can he play that way right now? Does he want to play that way right now? We see a lot of guys. It happened to Favre in his last year. I think it's happened to Rodgers a bit this year, where they just throw short because they just want to get the ball out. They don't want to get hit. And I don't blame them. As LeBron kind of famously said a couple of weeks ago, when you're this age, you just wake up and stuff hurts. Like you don't need to get smashed.
That was kind of my point to open the show.
Right. Like Phillip Rivers is not going to feel good on Monday. Let's put it that way.
Let me ask you guys real quick, because this is an interesting question. And we talked about it a little bit before we rolled. What happens with this Hall of Fame candidacy now? So if he rolls out there and plays, now on the practice squad, it remains unimpinged, right? He's still
They
can be a
reset
Hall
the
of Fame
clock if
candidate.
he plays.
They reset the clock if he
They
plays
reset
in
the
an
clock.
NFL game.
I think he's just
If
got to be on
he-
the active roster too. I don't think
If he has to, if he gets to the active roster, if they elevate him, if that game is in Seattle, so it's a 4 p.m. Eastern kick. If at 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday they activate Phillip Rivers to the active roster, his Hall of Fame clock is reset 5 more years. Yep.
And wouldn't it? It
He doesn't
stands
care.
to reason. It stands to reason that let's get in fantasy land for a second here. Let's say Rivers pulls a 2023 Flacco. They go 3-1, 4-0. They make the playoffs.
How cool would that be?
Maybe
You think it will heighten it? I know you think.
I think it would heighten it, wouldn't it? Like at that
absolutely.
point,
You think it'll improve
as I sit here and talk to an
Absolutely it
NFL awards voter, at that point, I do think Phillip Rivers would get like comeback player of the year votes. I know that's not supposed to be the case anymore, but people would talk about
Joe
it.
Flacco
Whatever.
got
It doesn't even
player
matter.
of the year.
If he could go
in 23, Joe Flacco won the award. He was sitting on his couch. He showed up in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right.
He
And he
started
went into
in
the
LA
playoffs.
in early December. They lost that game. They then went on a
And he won
4-game heater,
comeback player
made
of
the
the
playoffs. He threw for 300 yards in every game, and he won comeback player of the year.
What if
right
Rivers
now,
does
the
that?
Colts,
What if Rivers does? Wouldn't that be like? Well, I was kind of on the fence on Rivers Hall of Fame, but you know what? I remember that. Like, it would absolutely help. He's house money right now. It's house money. Because if he stinks, everybody's going to be like, whatever. He's 44. He hasn't played in 5 years. So nobody expects anything. If he goes out and balls out, which would be awesome, by the way, I think it might push him into the Hall of Fame. Like, it's not crazy to think.
Okay, wait. So there's going to be a team. If let's say he goes 3-1 right down the stretch or whatever, let's just say he plays really well down the stretch.
Beats like the
Some
Texans
NFL
in
team
the
that's going to
finale. Yeah, that great defense.
No, I'm talking about 2026. There's going to be a team going. Wait a minute.
No.
Could we?
Come on.
Could we potentially sign Phillip to a 1-year
No
team?
way.
No.
Stop
come
it.
on. Charles, you're grounded. Get out of here. Get out.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible in this league. I swear to God. This story is so crazy.
He's not the
It's
first.
wild.
Favre was a grandfather at the end as well. So he's not the first grandfather quarterback of
But
modern
Favre didn't have the
vintage.
gap. He didn't have the gap, though. The
Yeah,
gap
that's
is
the big
crazy.
thing here. Yeah, like Warren Moon kept playing. Like even Flacco was only out for a few months into the season, like one season. This is 5 years. 5 years
COVID-
is
Warren Moon's
eternity.
Yeah, COVID ended it for Phillip. COVID feels like it
That's
was
right.
20 years ago. Okay, like
Thankfully.
so much has happened since COVID. This guy is coming back. This is. It feels like we're reaching back for someone that we had forgotten about so long ago. It's
I want to see which
and I don't
quarterback
know.
now is like Cam Newton. Like what quarterback from the past could we just pull out and be like, hey, let's just start a couple games. It'll be fun. Why not? Like
Name
the
one.
Titans
Name
aren't
one
going
that's not
anywhere. Let's
Brady.
just let you.
Name one that's not Brady, who
Okay.
has not played. Right? It can't be
in a
like
while.
Romo. Like it can't be Romo.
I was
Romo's
gonna
too
say
long,
Romo.
right?
I was going to
I
say
mean-
Romo. Romo out of the booth. Like Dak Prescott goes
Cam
down
is
on
a good
Sunday,
answer.
and Jerry's
Cam
like,
played a couple
come on.
Cam's a good
ago.
answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cam's a
Matt
good answer,
Ryan,
actually.
obviously, he's toyed with
Matt
that
Ryan,
idea.
Calls.
Derek
I think
Carr
Breeze
is
would answer
sitting
the
at
phone.
home in
I think
Fresno.
Breeze would be like, I'll go. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah.
Breeze, there's a good one.
Carr. Derek Carr's a really good one,
Carr.
actually.
But Carr hasn't even been out that
They
long.
could
It
have called
seems like he
Carr,
has.
and maybe they did call Carr. I don't know. Now they
How
would
far
have
could
to
you go back?
pay.
Like that's one thing
they'd
I
have
just
to
wonder.
pay the
Like
Saints.
is Jim Everett around? Like Steve Young maybe wants to
Jim
play
Everett
again?
is
Like,
around.
how
I
far
see him
could we go
around LA
back here?
every now and then. He comes to games. He comes to Ram games. Yes, he is still hanging around. Kurt Warner. There it is. Kurt Warner.
Kurt would be awesome.
There's your answer.
That's it.
I had
That's
Kurt
it.
on my Browns
hey,
pod yesterday.
by the way, this is that what was the commercial where it was like Emmitt Smith, Jerry Rice, where they're like coming off.
Oh yeah,
was
yeah,
it Randy
yeah,
Moss?
yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
remember what was it? Was a credit card commercial where all of a sudden they're going out and they're playing. And it's
That was like
it's their
Tostitos or something, but yeah, whatever.
whatever it
do
was.
you
This
guys
is it's actually happening.
It's actually
So
happening.
I'm Googling here. Do you remember? I was a kid. Jim Brown SI cover Raiders.
Oh, Raiders. Yeah.
Do you remember?
The
So
Raiders
this was
issue.
what year
Oh,
was this?
Yeah.
It was
Jim
like
Brown
55. It was 84, I think.
in
83, something like that.
83 when Walter
my
Payton
God.
was about to break the record.
It's a great
And
cover.
It was a picture of Jim Brown. Here, I'll hold it up right here. There it is. Jim Brown. So Jim Brown on the cover of SI wearing a Raiders uniform. He clearly never played for the Raiders, but he was living in Los Angeles after he had retired. And the headline was, Jim Brown, are you serious? A comeback at 47. You're just what the boring
still could have got
NFL
4 a pop,
needs.
too. He still could have got 4 yards a
1983.
pop right then. Just put him in. He could have got 4 yards a pop, I think.
And that was Peyton's about to break his all-time record. So Jim Brown at 47. I worked with Warren Moon at Fox way back in the day. We did fantasy show, believe it or not, the first national TV fantasy show in 03. And I remember playing catch with Warren Moon at the Fox parking lot in LA. We were shooting some kind of promo, and he was like 48 or 49 at the time. And granted, I am not an NFL wide receiver. I'm not gonna pretend that I had good hands. But at like 49 years old, Warren Moon in the parking lot could sling it. Like it hurt your hands. And he's 35 yards away, just zipping it. I bet you he could have played it.
Like you guys know this. We've all seen Warren. We've all seen Warren in person. Like Warren looks like he could roll out of bed and play today.
Yeah,
like,
Warren looks good.
Shape. Like he looks really good.
He's in great shape in retirement.
I think
there's
it's
something.
It's fun.
I'm telling you, I think there's something about some arms. I don't know what it is about. I would love to. This is like a good story, like a good deep dive about why do some arms seem to last? Like you see some guys and they're 50 years old and their arms probably could still go out and play a game or two.
I bet you Cutler could throw like a 95-mile-an-hour heater right now. Yeah.
Flacco is a guy for sure.
Yeah, Flacco for
absolutely.
Sure.
Flacco's arm is going to be a 50-year-old arm and still be able to throw a heater.
So
no question.
I had this conversation with Bill Musgrave, the Browns quarterback coach, back during training camp, and he remembered recruiting Flacco out of high school or scouting him in college, one of the two, whatever it was. And he maintained that Flacco's arm is better now than it was then.
Wow.
Now, I never went back to Joe to ask him that, but Musgrave pretty much, like, it's as good as, if not better. His point was it hasn't deteriorated. How many? 20-some years
It looks like
later.
it. It looks like it. It still looks like he's throwing a ball that is a top 10 NFL arm. There's no question.
It's got easy gas, crazy. Man. It's easy gas. So, yeah. Thanks for joining us, Michael Pittman. Great timing on that one. The Colts on the road at the Seahawks. As we sit here today, Indianapolis is the 8th seed in the American Football Conference. I mean, it's not in any way out of the realm of possibility. Yeah. Make a run. Phillip Rivers. Coming up next, I decided to go to that Monday night game last night in Los Angeles. Of all the games I've been to, that was one of them. Coming up, what's wrong with the Eagles? Our thoughts and those of Zach Berman of The Athletic. You're watching Inside Coverage. When we wrapped up Inside Coverage on Monday, I was sitting here talking to our producer, Madison Sanders, after we broke and talking about, do I go to the Eagles and Chargers game? I had no intention of going. And then a funny thing happened. Quite literally, I closed my laptop and my phone rang. A friend who's an Eagles fan, she said, hey, I have 5th row seats. First world problem. I know behind the Eagles bench, you want to come to the game. I'm like, sure. Why not? So I went to the game. Charles and Frank, of all the games I've been to before. Wow. All right. So the Chargers won, for those who don't know, they won in overtime 22-19. and Justin Herbert is a superhero. He played with one hand. He's changing the play and not handing it off with 27 seconds left and scrambling with a broken hand. They can't protect him. He got sacked 7 times. He took a beating. They still found a way to win. Those are the Chargers. Good for them. I'm happy for them. They're 9-4. They're very much in the mix in the AFC. They're looking like a playoff team. They are a playoff team. They can't protect their quarterback, but we'll deal with that later. And then you have the Philadelphia Eagles. Guys, wow. I don't know how to fix that offense. I sat right behind the bench, and the Hard Knocks cameras were there, and my eyes were on A.J. Brown, and my eyes were on Jalen Hurts and the body language. And unlike weeks past, there was no tension that was visible. There was no screaming and yelling, but their offense is broken, guys. It's broken. Chris Sims on NBC went all in last week on Jalen Hurts. What's the issue? Is it the play calling? Is it the line? Is it the lack of Lane Johnson? He said, no, it's Jalen Hurts. And he said the entire building knows it. He says he's not playing good quarterback right now. He's limiting the offense. He's the problem. Charles, what did you see last night?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's over the course of Jalen Hurts' career, there have been a number of debates that we've had, right? Like, can he throw downfield consistently? Why doesn't he go over the middle of the field consistently? How big of how large of a portion of what he does on offense has to be him actually running the football? And can you keep him healthy playing that style of game? Last night, I feel like this portion of the season, to me, I'm like, well, Saquon Barkley's not running well, right? The offensive line functionally is not playing at the level we've seen in the past. And, so I've tried to lean on giving Jalen Hurts that excuse. The running game hasn't been as efficient. Or A.J. Brown is not coming through on a game-to-game basis. And then you look at last night, A.J. Brown was a big part of the offense. And Saquon Barkley ran the football, at least, in terms of giving you a big play. And then the overall efficiency of what Saquon Barkley can be. It's not like you sat there and stared at the running game and said, well, that's the significant problem. Last night was the one where I said, okay, it's time to start to have a larger Jalen Hurts conversation. And then last night it was the turnovers. Just the struggle to, I think at times, make the right decision, put the ball where it ultimately needed to be. I look, the turnover, the interception that he throws in overtime, it's just not the kind of throw that you think a Super Bowl MVP, a player who's paid on the level of Jalen Hurts, who has the experience of Jalen Hurts, he forced it. He forced it into coverage where there's multiple players down there. And, you watch the play back, there were easier, simpler players to be made, particularly for the down and distance. And it was just a risk that he took at a poor time. I get it. Like at this point, I don't think we can steer the conversation away from him anymore in terms of the overall efficiency and then the holes ultimately in his game and the consistency. He's at an age, he's at a period, a part of his career where he should be trending into his prime, reaching his ceiling. And instead, I think we're finding that his game continues to have holes in it. And it's not, I think, it's not the consistent holes either. It's not like, oh, it's just the middle of the field that bothers us about the way he's playing football. Oh, it's just the downfield passing that bothers us. I feel at times that it alternates, and that's what's so frustrating about this. And I think Nick Sirianni, that's what he's having a hard time game planning, and then I think the Eagles are having a hard time play calling to deal with that game-to-game inconsistency. You just don't know what he's going to fall through on from one game to the next.
And I agree to an extent, but I don't put this all on Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is exactly who he has always been. I've always said there's 6 or 7 guys on the planet who are just so good that it doesn't matter the situation you put them in. We know the names: Mahomes and Burrow and Herbert and Lamar and Josh, and we know the names, right? The next tier of guys needs help. You can win a lot with them, but they're going to need a good offensive scheme. They're going to need a running game. They're going to need good receivers around them, good offensive line. None of that is in place for the Eagles right now. So I don't think Jalen Hurts has really changed. I think everything around him has changed. Offensive line isn't playing well. They're getting very little out of the running game. Saquon Barkley's stats have been cut in half this year. We've seen the issues with the receivers, but the play calling has just been dreadful. Like we've all talked about this. We've seen it. We've seen all the All-22 guys show us how basic the Eagles offense is this year. And I said this earlier on Yahoo Sports Daily today, when I think about Sirianni, and remember 2 years ago at the end of the 2023 season, there was that, is Sirianni getting fired? And they were going to have the press conference and it got delayed by like an hour. And then they come out and they're like, Nick Sirianni is still our coach, but he has been stripped of all of his play calling power. It's going to be the offensive coordinator going forward. And in any normal circumstance, like Kevin Patullo should have been demoted by now. I wonder if this is Sirianni being passive aggressive, saying, no, you don't want me to call plays? Here you go. That's our play caller right there. I'm not changing
Sirianni
it.
did say that he did. I'm cutting you off, Frank. I'm sorry.
No.
Just context here. He did say that last week he was more involved. Exactly. He had his hands on it. So for what it's worth, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, and I just wonder, like, it's just all broken with the Eagles now. So and Hurts is not playing well. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying I think he's kind of the same guy. He needs a Kellen Moore. He doesn't need a Kevin Patullo. Like, he needs Saquon Barkley 2,000-yard rusher. He doesn't need Saquon Barkley 1,000-yard rusher. Like that. That's what's kind of going through my head. I don't lay a lot of this at Jalen Hurts' feet, although he's not playing well. Last night, some of those picks were dreadful. Like, it's like, what are you doing, Jalen? Come on. Like, so he's not playing well, but I think it's partially because he can't overcome the situation. I just think the situation's bad. Look, we're entering week 15. Like, it ain't changing. Like, it ain't getting fixed. Like, this is who you are at this point of the season. So I think it's just kind of a lost season for Jalen Hurts. And honestly, the Eagles too. I don't think this is coming around.
Hey, Andrew, I'll ask you this. I mean, because, over the years, you've obviously worked closely with teams, quarterbacks, a lot of experience, speaking to coaching staffs. When you watch him play, his critics right now are saying that Fields is, not Fields. Geez, that's a little bit of a Freudian name that all of a sudden inserts itself. That Hurts is not seeing the field. He's not seeing the plays unfolding in front of himself. He's not reading, things accurately in terms of what he's seeing, particularly the back end of a defense. How is that a problem at this stage in his career? Like, what are we talking about here? This is it. I mean, we're so late in his career, particularly for what the accolades are, for what the accomplishments are, and also the level of success that we've seen at times. And I will yield to Frank here in terms of, he's a trailer, not a truck, right? Trucks and trailers. Does he pull the team or does the team pull him? He's more of a trailer than a truck. Okay, fine. But really by now, he should have the experience to see the field better than he is, if his critics are correct. That at this stage in his career, he's not seeing defenses unfold in front of him one play to the next. I'm asking you, Andrew, how does something like that happen at this point?
It's a good question. I think if we go back to the conversation we had with Lane Johnson at the start of the season, I asked him, you assume with a full offseason that teams are going to defensively, I would say shut down your run game, but you're going to have to adapt. Right, obviously. Saquon a year later doesn't have the same bounce, although he had the touchdown last night. That was a great play design, right? You fake the tush push and then you pitch, the tush pitch, whatever you want to call it. Saquon, nobody caught him. So he still has the juice, but the offensive line, no Lane Johnson banged up. You need your quarterback, I guess is my point, to be the truck and to elevate the rest of the team. And A.J. Brown's frustration, and A.J. did take blame after the game last night. I mean, he admitted he could have had the ball in the end zone. There was one of the picks that, yes, Jalen threw it high, but he probably could have come down with that football. Those were two that were on A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts, to your point, Charles, not seeing Deshaun Hand as a zone dropper, that's on him. But the other team gets paid. I give Jesse Minter credit. His defense can be confounding to even the best quarterbacks, and we've seen that. Last year, we've seen it this year. We've seen it in prime time already this year before last night. So give them credit as well. But Jalen Hurts is not evolving. And I don't know why. But A.J. Brown, when he says it's not just me, meaning it's not, hey, I want the ball. I think that's his way of saying, listen, we throw slants, we throw back shoulders, we throw 9 routes, we throw goes. That's it. That's all this offense is. And the point that Chris Sims made, and he's the quarterback with the quarterback eyes, was that Jalen, and this is, again, him talking, Jalen's gone to this offensive staff and said, I want the offense we ran in 2023. Well, teams know how to defend that offense, and it's pretty simplistic. It's pretty point and shoot. And if you're not going to your first or your second read, then it's kind of over. And when teams know what you're doing, Manti Te'o this morning on Good Morning Football said he watches the Eagles, the All-22. He sees almost no motion from the wide receivers. He sees
no
11
easy button.
personnel most of the
There's
time.
no easy button.
And he says
ever.
that as a linebacker, as a defensive captain, as a Mike, as a play caller, he said, I would put a star next to that team, meaning I don't have to worry about them. Like, I got this. Like, I know how to defend this offense. It's stagnant.
Right. There's no complication.
The question you have to ask is it stagnant because of coaching, or is it stagnant because the quarterback prevents the coaching staff from taking the offense to the next level creatively?
I'm going to throw a name at you guys because this reminds me so much of several years ago. Sean McVay looked at Jared Goff and he said, I need to change what I do offensively. I need to advance. I need to grow. I need to change with the league. And so what Sean McVay ultimately said was, I don't think Jared can go with me. I don't think Jared Goff is the guy that can change as I evolve as an offensive mind in this game and how I scheme things. Ultimately, I don't think this is the guy that I can move forward with. So what does he do? He goes and he trades Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford. And we think, and I thought at the time, Lions will cut Jared Goff in a year. Like he's not capable of revisiting these sort of fringe MVP levels that he played at with the LA Rams, or really MVP levels. I mean, Jared Goff's greatest season with the Rams, he was definitely an MVP candidate. And yet, what ultimately happens with Jared Goff? He finds a play caller who's creative, does things a little bit differently with him. They surround him with a lot of talent, a really strong running game, a lot of play action. And Jared Goff turns his career around as a player. He's revitalized. Could we be seeing that? Now, it's a little bit different. I mean, Jared Goff was paid with the Rams by the time they traded him, and they did have to take a cap hit. It's more severe, I think, ultimately with the Eagles, especially given how many other guys they paid and the fact that they don't have a lot of breathing room. Could we ultimately see Jalen Hurts not being a Philadelphia Eagle at some point and kickstarting his career elsewhere with a different cast of characters and a different play caller? Is this the next Jared Goff?
I think so.
In the NFL, where we think maybe his career's over in Philly.
Sorry. I don't know if he's the next Jared Goff, but I do think you have to ask that question. I'm going to ask it to Zach Berman of The Athletic coming up, who covers this team, has written about this team, not only in print, but books as well. Is that a possibility? I was talking to one, how about a personnel person who was at that game last night. And I asked that same question, like, who would take him? That's not to say that Jalen Hurts is chopped liver. Someone always wants a quarterback and needs
the New Orleans Saints.
But the Saints, I do think it is time. Listen, he won a Super Bowl last year. He's not a bum. He's a good player. But clearly, he's hit a wall. He's got a month to turn it around. He does. But I do think you need to start asking the question and looking at the contract and asking, is there an exit strategy here, and who would want him next year?
Interesting.
So let's continue this Eagles conversation with a guy that was not only in the locker room after the Eagles lost to the Chargers at SoFi on Monday night, but he's covered this team for 14 years. You should read him. If you don't, you should read not only Zach Berman on The Athletic every day, but his book chronicling that amazing run last year is called Leap Year. That is out as well. It makes a great stocking stuffer or holiday gift. Zach Berman of The Athletic joins us now in Inside Coverage. Did you get some sleep on the red eye going home?
I did. I had to finish my story, and then I got about an hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep. So running on fumes, but this is the highlight today, getting a chance to speak with you.
Come on. You're full of it. You shovel it well, Zach. I appreciate you. You wrote last week about the positivity rabbit or some inflatable Easter bunny looking thing they had in the locker room. And I believe the quote you had last week was, "Vibes are high." Were vibes high? What were the vibes after that game last night?
And that was a dejected team. That game, that loss stung for obvious reasons. Right, when you lose in overtime on the last play, but just the way that game transpired, and Jalen Hurts really took it on him. He said, "This isn't we. This is I. I need to play better." That was his major point of emphasis. And when you have a career high 4 turnovers, career high 4 interceptions, 5 turnovers overall, that says something. And there's a lot that this team needs to fix, but it starts right now with the quarterback.
Are they fixable? Are those issues fixable? Or to quote Jason Kelsey's sister-in-law, I think I've seen this film before and I didn't like the ending, and this was 2023.
Yeah. Yeah, that question's come up a lot, and this is different than 2023. And the reason I say it's different is because the defense this year is outstanding. You saw that last night. You saw the pressure that they had on Justin Herbert. And I think that obviously the offense must play better, and the sample size is large enough now where you're saying this isn't a blip. This is kind of who they are at this point. But there's so many players there who've built equity, whether you're talking about Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, an offensive lineman with 4 or 5 guys at a Pro Bowl caliber level, that if that side even plays close to expectations with the way the defense is playing, with the way the schedule shakes out, and with the advantage that they have on the Cowboys, this is a team that will host a playoff game. Right. And in 2023, they did not host a playoff game. They were on the road. That team was a mess at the end of the season, and it was both sides of the ball. So I'd look at it differently this year, but you can't really hang your hat on anything that this offense is doing.
Zach, everybody wants to focus on A.J. Brown's body language, and a lot of people, myself included, I've been in the camp that said, A.J., stop making it about yourself. And then when you keep reading in between the lines and you actually listen to what he's saying, he says, it's not about me, it's about the offense collectively. And I think I see it. I know I see it, actually. Chris Sims on NBC, I'm sure you've seen the clip, leaned in last week and said, this team has a Jalen Hurts problem. He is inflexible. They're not running a creative offense. It's stagnant. It's stale. And it starts with him. It isn't coaching, he said. It's coaching around an inflexible quarterback. What would you say to that?
Well, I'm not going to absolve the coaching here for the reason being that I've covered Jalen's whole career. The burden of proof is on the coaching here. Is on the new offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, more so than the quarterback who's been the Super Bowl MVP, who succeeded in different ways under 3 different play callers, 4 different play callers if you include Sirianni those first few games in 21, but really 3 different play callers over the course of time here, and he's having his worst season. The offense is having their worst season right now under Patullo. That said, Jalen's the one touching the ball on every play. There are plays to be made that he's not making. He's not using his legs like he has in the past, and that's part of what makes him a special player. So I think a lot of this is on Jalen, but I don't think I can't let the coaching staff or the play calling off the hook here, because if you just look at the sample size, if you just look at these 5 years, and you have 5 years with Nick Sirianni, this is the worst the offense has performed. Much of the players are the same. The difference is the play caller.
Does Jalen Hurts not want to run the football, considering he's been hurt a couple of times over the last few years, late in the season, running the football?
That's something you're hearing. Now, he pushes back on that. He says he'll do whatever it takes to win. But yeah, the facts are the facts that he was injured last year against Washington in December. In 22, he was injured when he was running the ball against Chicago, also in December. And there's kind of been this school of thought that it's a switch you can flip in the postseason. Yeah. And you saw the way he ran against Kansas City in the Super Bowl last year. That was really a difference in that game. And so I think there is a degree of validity to that. But if that is what's holding him back right now, if that is why they're not running it, then they need to flip that switch now, because it will make the entire offense better if Jalen runs more.
Talking to Zach Berman here, covers the Eagles for The Athletic and has done so for 14 years. He has a great book as well out about last year's season, a Super Bowl season, a championship season called Leap Year. I think Jalen Hurts, this is my opinion here, Zach, deserves the right to work out of this, but he's doing it obviously under intense scrutiny in a market that is absolutely unforgiving, in a market where, even when they're winning, the fans can be miserable. And they're doing so with this idea that they have to win another championship. You won it last year, you should win it this year. And I want to show him that grace and think that he could work out of it. But the other part of me says, Zach, the next 4 games could write his future. In Philadelphia, that is, his immediate future. We had a conversation before you came on and explored the world, the idea, the possibility that if it doesn't work out these last 4 weeks, or 5 weeks, going to January in the postseason, and that the Eagles flame out, is there a world where Howie Roseman says it's time to move on?
Well, I've covered the Eagles long enough to never say never. I mean, they traded Carson Wentz before his record-breaking contract even commenced, right? So you never say never, but I don't think that is a likely scenario. First off, the equity that Jalen's built here, I think they would change some pieces around him more than they would change him. But Jalen obviously needs to play better, and Howie is always kind of considering whether it's the asset value of the player you have or the asset value of the other options. And it's interesting because behind the scenes they really like Tanner McKee, the number 2 quarterback, and he's someone that they've held on to. But Jalen Hurts, I mean, he's the Super Bowl MVP. He was an MVP caliber player in 2022. In his 4 previous seasons as starter, he's made the playoffs every year. He's been to the Super Bowl twice, the NFC Championship game twice, and in the down year they won 11 games. If this is a down year, they're most likely still going to win the division. So I have a hard time seeing that happening, but I suppose you never say never. I think the more likely scenario is that the pieces around him kind of get shaken up.
It's hard to separate the team from the town, but if this weren't the Philadelphia Eagles, would we be having this conversation? I mean, if this were the Arizona Cardinals, not to in any way minimize Cardinals fans, but you get my point.
Yeah, and it is a good point, Andrew, because with the success he's had in most towns, you'd build a statue for that guy, right? And so I hear what you're saying. There is a lot of scrutiny, but to quote Jalen here, heavy is the head. Right. I mean, it's a phrase he uses. He has shoes that are called that heavy as the head. And this comes with the territory of being the quarterback for the Eagles. But as Jason Kelsey says, you control your own narrative. If Jalen plays better, the city's got, the criticism won't be as loud as it is during these past 24 hours. And the reality is Jalen, I think, understands that the way he played on Monday night is simply not good enough.
Was it T.O.? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm replaying NFL Films clips in my head. Was it T.O. who, instead of saying you love to hate me, he said you hate to love me?
Is that what it was? I'll take your word
y'all
for it.
hate to love me.
Okay.
They love Jalen Hurts, but at the same time, I feel like he's just he's the easy foil here for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think with the way he played on Monday, it's merited, right? I think sometimes things can be unfair, but you throw with 4 interceptions in a game, it's the reality of the position. It's the reality of the situation. But he's still, I mean, make no mistake, he's still beloved in this town. And he is, I think with the overall body of work, Donovan McNabb is probably the best quarterback in franchise history, but I'd say Jalen Hurts is the most accomplished quarterback in franchise history in that, 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl MVP. So yeah, Jalen's legacy here is unmatched, and I don't think it's stopping anytime soon. I still expect him to be the quarterback here for a long time.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I want him to turn it around. I think he can. Obviously, everything here is in a spotlight. It's the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl. They're in primetime again last night. This wasn't some 1 o'clock Fox game to only 30% of the nation or even 5% of the nation. This was for the world to see. And it was a game that, look, sitting there in the stands, surrounded by Eagles fans, by the way. That was, what do you think, 70% Philly last night?
Yeah, that's typically the case when they go out west, for sure.
Yeah. Surrounded by Eagles fans. I thought I was at an Eagles home game, and everyone just assumed they're going to win it at the end.
Yeah.
And they almost did until they didn't. Zach, tell me about the book here as everyone can get ready to hand it out of the holidays.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So the book Leap Year here, and it takes you behind the scenes from the red confetti that fell in 2023 to the green confetti that fell in 2025. And so you spoke about that collapse of the 2023 season. That's documented here because that's part of the Eagles story. And then you really see how that 2024 team was created. You see behind the scenes of putting that roster together each week, what went into it. And it's interesting because you look back at it now, and Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie said it's perhaps the best team in modern football history. In week 4 last year, they weren't talking that way. And the way Nick Sirianni was thought about wasn't the case. So really, I think the on the scene, on the ground reporting comes through here. And then there's cutaway chapters about Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Lane Johnson and Jalen Carter and Zach Bond and Darius Slay, where you really get a chance to know who these guys are under the helmet. Brandon Graham, I'm very fortunate, wrote the foreword for the book, one of the most storied players in franchise history. So I think it's a chance to see how the Eagles made that leap, literally, and then obviously Saquon Barkley made that leap in that magical season.
So cool to see Brandon Graham, by the way. Again, surrounded by Eagles fans watching the game, get to the quarterback last night with his gray beard. Like it's actually great. It's funny you mentioned that the bye week last year. I saw them right after the bye. It was there with the Browns, and that team did not look good. They barely won that game. Sirianni's yelling at fans, walking to the tunnel. It was ugly. And then I saw them on the Sunday night when they came out here to beat up the Rams, and that's what they did. That offense was a bully that night last year. It was a bully. However, last night they were not a bully, and that's just so like the difference between last year's bully and then this year's offense is such a night and day proposition.
But the one thing I'll say is that literally this time last year, mid-December, the big story was the passing game was the problem. A.J. Brown was asked, "What's wrong?" He said, "Passing." Right, and then they go the next week. They have this outstanding game. Jalen Hurts said, "So that's what you all wanted to see, huh?" And then a month and a half later, they're hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. So everything they want is still in front of them, but the time is more narrow than it was 2 months ago.
Our time is tight here as well. Zach Berman of The Athletic, happy holidays to you, your family as well. Thanks for coming on, man. Enjoyed doing this.
Absolutely. Always great seeing you, Andrew.
All right. This has become, welcome back, by the way, to Inside Coverage on Yahoo. Andrew Siciliano. Rob, Charles Robinson, Frank Schwab as well. This has become a Tuesday tradition, truly unlike any other, because there's nothing going on Tuesday in the NFL other than Mike Tomlin's noon Eastern press conference. He didn't say much today, said he's been living on the hot seat for 19 years. Other than that, that's it. Move on. DK Metcalf should be okay. Won't practice early in the week. He'll play this week, should be. But we filled that void with Frank's playoff projections. I always joke that they are guaranteed or your money back. And then I realized, I don't know, maybe like you're going to come after us and claim your internet provider, like we should pay for that. I'm not going to do that. Like they're just guaranteed, but there's no like money back guaranteed. On Frank's playoff projections, let's throw up the American Football Conference, please. There's a joke there about, forget it. It's now thrown up on the screen. The Patriots are the 1 seed. Frank, the Broncos in your backyard are the 2 seed. The Houston Texans at 3. You still have the Steelers making the playoffs. Someone has to in the North as the 4. And then the Bills, the Jaguars, and Jim Harbaugh's superhero Chargers. He said that win last night, by the way, was as significant and emotional and cathartic as the birth of his children. No, he did say that. I had the post game.
I don't doubt it. Jim is something.
Leaving SoFi. I'm like,
he's nuts. He's nuts.
I love you, man, but like sometimes I can't take it seriously,
dude. Like
when you say things like that. Or your wife, like the lovely Mrs. Harbaugh, who I've never met. I've seen them at dinner. I leave them alone. They're having dinner. But like anyway, moving on. All right. So Charles, what stands out to you about Frank's now heading into week 15 AFC projection?
All right. I'm going to invoke a quick story here, a little anecdote. I'm not going to name who it is, but there's someone that is in the league orbit, right? And he talked to me one time. We were talking about Jim and John Harbaugh and how, because they were tied in with the Harbaugh family. Jim and John Harbaugh used to come over to his house. And I said, what do you remember about him as kids? And he said, he said, John was really nice. He said, but when they'd come over, he said, Jim would eat all the cereal. He would eat all our cereal and then just leave. He said, John, nice kid. Jim would eat the cereal up and leave the house.
Eat all the Frosted Flakes, yeah.
Never had breakfast cereal because Jim would eat it all. I'm telling you, Jim's going to eat somebody's breakfast in these playoffs. I swear to God, I look at the Chargers, that Philly win, as I watched the win over Philly for the Chargers, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, you got Amari and Hampton back, right? You got Keenan Allen, you got Quentin Johnston when he's catching the football. You got Ladd McConkey, who didn't have a particularly good game. None of those guys really did. You got a quarterback with a broken hand. You're missing your 2 tackles. Your offensive line's been a mess this entire season. And yet somehow Jim Harbaugh continues. I wrote Jim Harbaugh off so many times this season. I wrote the Chargers off like every turn, every time they would have a loss where I'd just be like, come on, like this team's stick a fork in them. And then I'm looking at the Patriots. I'm looking at the Broncos, who aren't a particularly great offensive team. I'm just telling you, the Chargers get in at the 7th seed. I'm nervous for someone at the top of the AFC.
I got one problem for you here. I got one problem for you, Charles.
All right, let's hear it. Give it to me.
A 7 versus 2 is likely to be either probably the Broncos, or maybe the Chargers get up to 6 and they play the Texans. You think the Chargers could block them? You think the Chargers could block the Broncos who have like 15 more sacks than everybody, or the Texans who have I just can't. I will say this. I do believe this, actually. If both of those tackles stay healthy for the Los Angeles Chargers, I think the Los Angeles Chargers are the best team in football. Like, and I don't even honestly think it's close. Ooh. I think we would be talking right now about the Chargers as this is a team that's going to run through the AFC and they're going to win a Super Bowl. Like, I really believe that, because you look at this team, they have everything would flow better. We saw last night's game. Justin Herbert, my goodness, what a gutsy effort by him. He was getting hit every single play with a broken hand that he had surgery on 7 days ago. It. Yes, it was. And if you just imagine those 2 tackles, Slater and Altu, are unbelievably good. Slowing down the pass rush against anybody, not just the Eagles. He's got time to throw to McConkey. He's got time to throw to Johnston, Gadsden. They can open up lanes for Vidal and Hampton. It would have just changed everything. But I think that's their fatal flaw. I respect what the Chargers have done. 9 wins already is amazing, given what they've dealt with injury-wise. But how can you block the Broncos or Houston or really anybody you're going to face?
Writing off Harbaugh.
They can't.
He's coming. He's coming for your Raisin Bran, Frank. Harbaugh's coming for your Raisin Bran. He's coming for the Fruit Loops. He's coming for all of it. I'm telling you, I hear you.
I eat your cereal.
I hear you guys, and I understand it. I totally get it. But over the course of the season, I've felt that way about the Chargers. I've looked at Keenan Allen and been like, I don't know how much this guy's got. And I've focused it through that line. I'm like, okay, line's never going to be right. They're going to have to deal with this all season long. Hampton goes out. I'm like, well, that's it. I mean, their backfield's decimated. You can't lose 2 top running backs and survive this, right? You can't have Quentin Johnston dropping the football and survive this on top of the offensive line problems. You can't survive Justin Herbert breaking his non-throwing hand and win a football game when your line is like this. I keep going back and saying you can't do X because of Y, and Y has always been that offensive line. And then they go out and beat the Eagles. I'm telling you, there is something about Harbaugh as a coach. And you can say Michigan, you can go back through his career in college, Stanford. You can go back to his days in San Diego. I mean, the 49ers, everywhere this guy goes, he somehow finds a way to eat your breakfast. And I'm telling you, I just think this is the year where we're going to write him off, and he's going to pull a rabbit out of the hat in the playoffs.
I'm with both of you when it comes to the matchups. And look, they lost Trey Pipkins last night too. So like they took another hit on the offensive line.
Yeah.
If they go to Denver, they at least have familiarity in the division, but they can't block the Broncos. If they go to Houston, they can't block the Texans. I don't know. The Bills are not going to get into the top half of the bracket, I don't think, so they're not going to have to face them in the first round. Jacksonville could win the South. That's not a good matchup. The only matchup,
Andrew, though, you would have said, you know what? You would have said going into Philly, Andrew. You would have said, Andrew, you would have said going into Philly. We would have said, how do they block Philly? We would have said that,
and it didn't.
Right? We would have said that.
Well, they didn't block Philly.
They
still have not blocked
Philly. They still won. They still won
They
the football
did,
game, which is why
because of
I look
everything
at
we
the
just
Broncos.
talked about Jalen Hurts and their defense. Jesse Minter is
But
going to be a head coach next year.
I look at the Broncos, and the Broncos are not a perfect offense. And you know what? All due respect to Sean Payton. By the way, Sean Payton called this. I was there the same day. You and I were there together, Andrew, with Sean. And Sean sat me in the cafeteria for more than an hour and told me this was going to happen. And I give him all the credit in the world. But I don't know if I trust ultimately that Broncos offense when push comes to shove, because they have shown over the course of the season that they can be imperfect too. And all I've listened to Frank tell me all over the place about the Patriots is, I don't know if I believe in this Patriots team. I don't know if this is the weakest number 1 seed I've ever seen. I don't know.
No, Titans 2 years ago, but yeah.
I mean, okay, but yet you question it, Frank, right? We're not, it's not the
I do.
ironclad Kansas City Chiefs at their peak at number 1, right?
No,
it's not that
wide
team.
open.
So I get it. I understand the reservations. My argument is, we have said this about the Chargers in the past, and we're looking at the top of an AFC bracket where we can find things to nitpick with the top 2 seeds.
Yeah.
Top 6 seeds, 7 seeds. Everybody's got a flaw in this AFC.
Okay.
Everybody.
Thank you, Frank.
I
know.
Frank just agreed with me.
All
he agreed
of them.
with me.
So someone has to win it. I checked the rules. Somebody does have to represent the AFC. That's the way. The NFC can't have 2 teams in the Super Bowl. This isn't like the CFP where we could, hey, let's get another team in from this conference. Nope, not how it works. So let's show the NFC. Frank's projections now heading into week 15. He likes the other team in Los Angeles as the 1 seed. The Rams are the 1. Rams, by the way, Rams playoff tickets went on sale today to season ticket holders. I was in the queue. They sold out like hotcakes, both the wild card and the divisional round, at least the good seats. Packers are the 2 seed. Eagles are the 3. I mean, the Cowboys, they're not going to catch them. Last night made it more interesting, certainly, but I can't imagine the Cowboys catching them. Cowboys get a Monday night game this week against the Vikings at home in Dallas. Yes, the Cowboys are in primetime yet again. The Buccaneers, evidently somebody does have to win the South. The Seahawks, the Niners, and the Bears of Chicago, who I will see in person Sunday. The high at Soldier Field is, hold on, I'm going to check to see if it's changed from 2 hours ago. The Soldier Field high for Sunday, as the Cleveland Browns come to town, is going to be 10 degrees.
10.
High.
I was going to say 10. Yeah.
High.
Good luck with
that. Charles, NFC, what stands out?
I want to know, look, last year the Lions, the last game of the season, play the Minnesota Vikings, right? We're like, who's going to be the number 1 seed in the NFC? I swear, I just keep staring at the Bears game to wrap the season.
Yep.
And I'm like, because the NFL is what it is, because the Lions are, the Lions and the Bears have been who they have been, because, the Ben Johnson, the one of the most creative, he has absolutely lived up to, in my mind, what the billing was when he went to the Chicago Bears. There are a couple plays every game where I'm like, wow, what an amazing play he just ran. What a call. I just keep staring at the Bears and I go, are we going to get to the last game of the season? And are the Lions going to be playing the Bears to knock them off of that number 7 seed? And because I think the NFL is what it is, I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to have a playoff game in week 18, and all the buildup of the Lions versus the Bears, and, Ben Johnson versus, Dan Campbell, and the fact that the Lions absolutely throttled the Bears earlier this season. I feel like we're building toward that, just like we were last season with the Vikings and the Lions, and who's going to have the NFC's number 1 seed.
Absolutely. And you can see the path there. I think that's going to be Sunday Night Football. I think that's going to be game 272. I said that last week too. And nothing has changed my mind, because when you look at just the way the schedules roll out, the Lions play at the Rams this week. They don't win that game. That's fine. Their last 2 games are much, much easier. They have the Steelers at home, should win that. At the Vikings, they should win that. Now, let's go to the Bears. The Lions are game back. So if they go 2-1, they need the Bears to go 2-1. Bears get the Browns this week. I don't think that's a gimme. Let's give them a win, though. The Packers come to Lambeau, and then the Bears play at San Francisco. All the Bears got to do is lose one of those games. If the Lions go 2-1, it's a winner take all. Because of the tiebreaker, the Lions have the win in hand already. They could be a game behind. So I think that will be for the 7 seed. But I had to make it. I actually struggled with this for a while today when I'm putting together the projections. I said that, okay, Lions Bears game 272. It's going to happen. I don't know that I can pick the Lions outside. They just have not shown that they're a good outdoor team. Andrew talked about it.
Fair.
It's going to be 10 degrees on Sunday. What's it going to be like in 3 weeks, 4 weeks on Sunday night? It's going to be like -6. And I don't really trust Jared Goff in that weather. So I gave the Bears a nod. Oh, it's going to be terrible. Like, the Midwest is awful. There's a reason I don't live there anymore. It's awful. It's awful. You guys have all lived. We've all lived. All three of us have lived in the Midwest. It's terrible.
Used to live horrible. There. Used to roam the sidelines there.
Yes.
It was never ever warm.
Thank you.
Look, Jared Goff outside in the cold. He had that primetime game. I think it was a Sunday night game many years ago, and he was still with the Rams. That everything went badly, and then of course you can't play in the cold. But he has proven that he can play outside. Obviously, the Lions are a better team inside. You have the Rams, though, Frank, holding on to the 1 seed.
It's close.
So they get the Seahawks Thursday night. I believe that game is next week, right?
Week 16. It's week
Seahawks
16.
Thursday night. Yeah, that is next week, primetime. What a game. Seattle's the best outdoor venue, the loudest outdoor modern venue. So take Lambeau out of the equation. That's Wrigley and Soldier Field and Yankee Stadium all kind of into one there. But Seattle, to me, is the best. So is that the second and last time the Rams and Seahawks meet, or do you have a 3-round fight culminating in the NFC title game?
I do. I do. I think we both do. I think there's a third meeting coming between these teams. These teams they're clearly, in my mind, the two best teams in football. I don't really even think, I don't think anybody's close. I know that sounds crazy, but like, there's no question in my mind that the Seahawks are better than the Broncos. They're better than the Patriots. They're better than the Packers. Like, and the same with the Rams. Like, this is that NFC West de facto championship game in Week 16 is kind of the 1 versus 2. Like, it's going to be a great game. I give the Rams a slight edge for now, but either way, that's a coin flip on who wins that division and gets number 1 seed. And I think if either the Rams or Seahawks are the 1 seed, two home games away from a Super Bowl, that's almost a wrap, unless the other beats them. I think the Rams could go into Seattle and beat them. I think Seattle could go into LA and beat the Rams. That's the only teams that are keeping a number 1 seed out of the NFC West from the Super Bowl, I think.
Do you guys want to do a field trip? You guys want to go to the game next week? We could, do the show from
Seattle's awesome.
bar
I do love that environment. You're totally right.
Anybody?
That's a great stadium. That's a great environment.
I've been to a couple of Rams Seahawks Thursday night games in Seattle because they always seemingly make Rams Seahawks in Seattle a Thursday night game. They're awesome. It's amazing. And they've had some great moments like that Tyler Lockett catch in the back of the end zone where Russell threw it up. And you're like, oh, he's throwing it away. And then you hear the crowd going nuts. Wait, what? A human being caught that football? That wasn't in the stands? It's a great rivalry, certainly. And that is a great environment for said rivalry. All right, time for one more thing before we go. Frank, you get to go first. What do you got?
We spent the whole A block talking about Phillip Rivers, and I kind of feel bad for Jason Pierre-Paul because the same day that Phillip Rivers comes back, Jason Pierre-Paul's back with the Buccaneers. I think that's an awesome story too, and it needs some attention because Jason Pierre-Paul, who is kind of famous for the fireworks incident, he shouldn't be. He's had a great career, 94 and a half career sacks. He played 9 seasons after that fireworks injury. When you're like, I don't know if JPP can play anymore. He lost fingers on his hand, for goodness sake. He still played, won another Super Bowl at the Buccaneers, was the only Pro Bowl player on that Buccaneers Super Bowl team, by the way. I just want to give a tip of the cap. Jason Pierre-Paul, who played a few games, 3 games, I believe, in 2023. He's coming back to help the Bucs down the stretch, and I hope he can do it. He's had a great career. He's overcome that horrible accident that so many people want to make jokes about, but don't. This is an inspirational story for him to come back, for him to play as well as he has. And I'm glad to see Jason Pierre-Paul back in the league. And we're not talking about him at all because Phillip Rivers is even a better story. But sure. Hey, JPP, glad to have you back. And I think he might be able to help the Bucs down the stretch too.
JPP turns 37 on NYD. Jason Pierre-Paul turns 37 on New Year's Day. So he is coming back at 36 years old. C-Rob, what do you got?
It's spring chicken terms for Phillip Rivers, who I'm going to go ahead and talk. I'm going to talk about Phillip Rivers here. Look, for all the things that we enjoy about the Phillip Rivers story, listen, first ballot, maybe top 5 all-time trash talker in NFL history. I'll never forget J.J. Watt one time saying, I remember playing against Phillip Rivers, and at one point he told one of our linebackers, hey, for the blitz you're running, you're in the wrong spot for what we're about to call. literally one of the greatest trash talkers in NFL history. We got some sound from Austin Eckler when it comes to what it's like to play with a guy like that.
You mentioned talking about Phillip Rivers, and were you surprised at how much he talked trash?
Well, here's the thing. When I first met him, he's like one of my teammates. And so in the locker room, I've never seen him like on game day. And so he's like this cool, chill guy, right? Knows a bunch about football. Seems like he's really out there controlling like the offense. You know, he's telling receivers, hey, like, I'm not throwing to you. You like take this one off. I want to save your legs, like stuff. I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. Like this guy's like a coach player type of body. You know, he's been here longer than any of the coaches had been, you know. It was kind of strange for me to finally see that dynamic where he's older than some of the coaches and out there still playing. And then we get to the game day and this is like a whole different dude. And I'm like, whoa. And his intensity spiked, his just attention to like everything. Like it was all like heightened intensity, and he's ripping refs. He knows them all by name. He's ripping defensive players. Yeah. Phillip was different. He'd been around so long. He knew all the refs by name. You know, he's like, damn it, Carl. We didn't say damn it. He like, Carl. You know? Yeah. He never swear like rap almighty. You know, he had all those.
His sound bites are pretty legendary.
That's probably
for sure.
A different
but no, it was pretty
contrast.
epic to see his intensity and his just competitiveness really snap on game days, and then he come down on the team plane or in the locker room after back to the Phillip that we knew to love. Yeah. Everyone only knew him on Sundays, so they're just like they just see this fiery guy that's always yelling at the refs and yelling at the defense, and that's who they thought he was.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, yeah, on game days that's what he is for 3 hours, but then for the 98% of the time he's like down to earth, chill, like we can have a great conversation with him, and so but it was great playing with him for sure.
Yeah, he's great, and he doesn't curse. I had the conversation with Michael Pittman earlier. He told a story about how he said that Jonathan Taylor got to the outside, turned the corner, busted a run, and that he's like telling the linebacker, he got to the corner, he got around the corner. And I'm like, he said that's all he's doing. He's telling the guy that he was beaten to the corner. He didn't curse him because he doesn't curse. Didn't say anything. Didn't threaten to kill him. He's not a punter in Jacksonville. He just said he beat you to the corner. Okay, fun. My one more thing. And by the way, the NFL is better with Phillip Rivers in it. Whatever happens, one way or the other, buckle up. My one more thing is I have in my hand right here official NFL playoff clinching scenarios, not done by guys on the internet, like actually handed down from 345 Park. There are 3 teams that can clinch playoff spots this week, knowing 9 have already been eliminated from contention. The Denver Broncos play the Packers at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Denver is in with a win. There are other convoluted scenarios that include a tie that we won't bore you with. The Patriots play the Bills on Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Pats have already beaten the Bills, beat them week 5. New England is not only in with a win, the Patriots win the AFC East with a victory. Also, various other scenarios with ties that we won't bore you with. And in the NFC, the Los Angeles Rams can be the very first and only team to clinch in that conference. The Rams play the Lions in that same 4 o'clock window on Sunday. The Rams beat their old friend Jared Goff and the Lions. They are in the postseason. So by the end of the weekend, we could have 3 of the 14 teams locked in to at least a playoff berth, not knowing, obviously, where the seeds would be. I want to thank Michael Pittman Jr. for joining us on the program, Zach Berman as well. And of course, Frank Schwab's predictions are guaranteed, one way or the other, to be true, at least until next week when we give you the new adjusted predictions. C-Rob, Frank, it's been fun. Gentlemen, appreciate you both and appreciate you for listening and watching as well. This is Inside Coverage on Yahoo. We'll see you next week.